The most difficult thing I had to do last year was to file for a divorce from my wife. I am still unable to comprehend why she decided to break up our family. Perhaps I am hoping to find answers here. My friends often advise me to move on, but the thought of it leaves me feeling disoriented. My wife had an affair with her ex-partner, despite the fact that she had made the right choice by leaving him. I first met my wife 7 years ago on the bus ride to work. She boarded the bus 3 stops after me, and I found myself staring at her every day. Although there were other attractive women on the bus, she was always my favorite. One day, the bus driver left the bus to go into a convenience store, and we shared a laugh about it. We started talking and continued to do so every day during our bus rides. She would often mention her boyfriend, Keith, and complain about him. She often caught her boyfriend cheating with his child's mother, but he would always deny it. His mother never approved of her, which is why they became estranged from each other. I genuinely cared about her and would advise her to leave the toxic relationship, but she still chose to stay. I felt helpless and didn't know how to rescue her from the love triangle she was in. However, everything changed when my father upgraded his car and gave me his SUV for free. Acquiring the SUV was a game changer, and one of the first things I did was to pick her up from the bus stop. I started taking her to work, something her ex never did, and despite arriving earlier, she was thrilled. Soon, I began taking her to other places, and we spent a lot of time together. We discovered that we had a lot in common, especially since she had family in Guayanea, where I grew up. Eventually, I mustered up the courage to confess my feelings to her and advised her to leave her boyfriend. Initially, she tried to make several excuses, but failed to provide any valid reason to stay with her boyfriend. Few days later, she called me and asked if we could hang out for the weekend. When I picked her up, she revealed that she had finally ended things with him and his complicated relationship with his child's mother. That weekend, we officially started dating. We dated for approximately 3 years before tying the knot. She was ecstatic to be in a relationship with me and often boasted about how wonderful I was to her friends. Her compliments made me feel gratified, and I thought we were the kind of funny TikTok couple she adored. As time passed, she started talking about marriage, and soon after, I proposed to her. We were overjoyed after the proposal, and she got pregnant before our wedding. Following our marriage, we welcomed 2 daughters and lived in a lovely home. At the time, I had very little to complain about. Our family was the quintessential unit, with my wife and I chasing after our 5- and 3-year-old daughters while balancing our careers. I made a conscious effort to be an attentive husband and father, treating my wife with the utmost respect. Similarly, she strived to maintain a harmonious household, despite the challenges posed by our rambunctious children. On one occasion, my cousin Anthony had to cancel our plans due to his mother's hospital release. As he was responsible for collecting her, I opted to take my wife's vehicle to address the check engine light that had been troubling her for some time. Exiting the repair shop, I proceeded to stow the paperwork in her glove compartment, but was met with a flurry of debris that tumbled out. In the midst of tidying up, I chanced upon a recent photograph of my wife alongside her former partner, Keith. To my shock, the image depicted the 2 of them within a correctional facility, accompanied by Keith's sister, Nadine. The discovery took me aback, as I had no prior knowledge of her visiting him during his incarceration. In fact, I wasn't even aware that he had been locked up. The changes in his appearance were evident. He had gained weight, his dreadlocks had grown longer, and he was sporting glasses that were unnecessary. After sorting through the clutter, I made my way home, with a myriad of thoughts swirling in my head. I couldn't fathom why my wife would visit him while he was imprisoned, and more importantly, why she hadn't divulged this information to me. The discovery left me with a sinking feeling, particularly given the difficulty I had in extricating my wife from her previous love triangle. Upon my return home, I observed my wife engrossed in the television, while I proceeded to conduct some extensive research on the matter. Knowing full well that I wouldn't find anything on her social media, I instead turned to Keith's sister, Nadine's page. Thanks to the pictures, I was able to ascertain that Keith had been free for 3 years. As I delved deeper into Nadine's social circle, I stumbled upon several snapshots of my wife, Keith, and Nadine at various events and gatherings. The sight of these images stirred up a range of emotions within me, and I felt compelled to confront my wife about the matter. Initiating a conversation, I nonchalantly inquired whether she had been in contact with Keith. Her perplexed expression and denial of any communication left me in disbelief. It was apparent that she had lied to me, and I was left with a sense of betrayal and a realization that my trust in her had been irrevocably shattered. The revelation prompted me to reflect on the various signs that I had missed. My wife's frequent absences, late-night phone conversations, and lack of romantic gestures towards me all came to mind. Following her deceit, I became more vigilant in my quest for answers and began monitoring her activities in hopes of catching her in the act. To create opportunities for her to slip up in my presence, I took on additional responsibilities with the children, allowing her more free time. After a few days of keen observation, she inadvertently revealed that I would be taking the kids to visit my parents. Following a pleasant visit with my kids and parents, I contacted my neighbor, an elderly lady, to inquire whether she had noticed any visitors at my residence. She confirmed that she had seen a familiar car parked outside my house earlier, which was surprising to me since even our neighbor was aware of Keith's presence. Although I didn't have all the details, I was still infuriated, as I had a sinking feeling that something was amiss. Upon our arrival, I confronted my wife, asking if anyone had come over while we were away. She denied any visitors and claimed to have taken a nap. Frustrated with her blatant dishonesty, I was prepared to end things with my wife that weekend. Determined to create some distance, I fabricated an excuse to be out of the house for the entire day. I informed her that I would be taking the kids to play with their classmates and then visiting my cousin, Anthony. My wife didn't object to my plans, and on that Saturday, I dropped off the kids at their friend's house and headed to a nearby restaurant to pass the time. After 3 hours had elapsed, I became increasingly concerned when my wife failed to answer my calls. This was unusual behavior for her. I dialed her number again, but there was no response. At that point, I decided to drive home and parked my vehicle at the end of the street before walking back to the house. As expected, Keith's car was parked outside, and while I was angry, I managed to keep my composure. Our home was a single-story ranch-style house. As we didn't have an upstairs to sneak in, I couldn't enter through the front. Therefore, I had to use the back entrance, which led to the kitchen. As I approached the living room, I could already hear them. They had left the bedroom door open, and upon looking inside, I was devastated to see him having sex with her on our bed. I was in a state of shock and had to prevent myself from zoning out. After coming back to my senses, I went next door to see my neighbor, whom I confronted about the situation. I had the fortune of having a reliable witness to the events that occurred. When I knocked on the door, her son answered, which worked out in my favor. He greeted me and inquired about my well-being. I requested his assistance with something in my house, and he inquired about the task. I simply requested that he keep a watchful eye on something for me. He agreed, but asked for some time to tend to his children. I returned to my house and waited for approximately 15 minutes until he arrived. It was a challenging task to endure, as I had to witness and listen to him having sex with my wife while waiting for him. When he eventually arrived, I instructed him to wait in the living room while I confronted them both. The situation quickly escalated into a chaotic argument, and our neighbor's son entered the room to investigate the commotion. Keith was under the impression that we were going to attack him, so he hastily fled the scene through the window, only partially dressed. My wife was humiliated, as she was only wearing socks. Following a heated argument in which I demanded a divorce, my wife retorted with a few choice words, and we both retreated to our neighbor's house. I expressed my gratitude to him for having my back, and apologized for not informing him of the situation. I explained that I didn't think he would have come over if I had told him, and he chuckled in agreement. He revealed that he had only intended to bring his children over to visit their grandmother, not to witness such drama. Later that night, I departed for my cousin's home to spend time with him and his girlfriend. During my drive, my wife called me and cursed me out. I confronted my wife and expressed how I had done everything for her, yet she had shown me the ultimate disrespect. She had blamed me, claiming that I had deceived her into marrying me and having children. She even expressed her desire to reconcile with Keith. I informed her that if she regretted having our kids, then she wouldn't have to worry about them anymore. Although she attempted to clarify her statement, I hung up on her. My wife can say whatever she wants about me, even if she regrets marrying me. However, I refuse to tolerate any disrespect towards my children. Upon arriving at my cousin's house, I divulged the entire situation to him and his girlfriend. Throughout the divorce, they remained by my side and provided unwavering support. Ironically, the ordeal brought us even closer. Unfortunately, I was dealt a harsh blow in the divorce settlement. Not only was I required to pay alimony and child support, but my wife also obtained custody of our children. Subsequently, she contacted me and attempted to apologize for her previous comments regarding our kids. She claimed to love our daughters and expressed that she didn't regret having them. I questioned whether her love for them was the reason she chose to destroy our family. She attempted to justify her actions by claiming that she didn't intend to cause harm. According to her, everything changed when she ran into Keith's sister, Nadine. She elaborated that they met up for lunch during her break, and they began to reminisce. My wife inquired about Keith, and Nadine revealed that he had been arrested. Keith had been stopped for a DUI, and the police discovered illegal substances in his possession. Moreover, the police had been actively seeking him, which resulted in his arrest. Upon learning of Keith's arrest, my wife experienced feelings of guilt. Nadine asked if she could support Keith while he was incarcerated, and my wife agreed. After Keith's release on parole, he reconnected with my wife and apologized for his past behavior. However, their reunion ultimately led to a 2-year affair. I had suspected that Keith's apology was insincere, and recently my suspicions were confirmed. A friend of mine informed me that she had encountered an individual who recognized her from hanging out with me and my cousin. She inquired about my well-being, and he replied that I was doing well. Upon his inquiry about my ex, she disapprovingly shook her head and admitted that she should have stayed with me. It was revealed that he was still having an affair with his son's mother, which meant Keith was sleeping with both of them. Learning this caused me to roll my eyes in frustration, prompting me to quickly shift the topic. Despite my attempts to intervene and put an end to this ridiculous love triangle, she still seems to be falling for their deceitful behavior. It's obvious that he has always been a joke, but witnessing his actions firsthand only confirms it. It seems that she enjoys being treated as someone's mistress, even though he is still committed to his child's mother. Despite this, she can't seem to grasp the reality of the situation. If you hear the person you're interested in constantly talking about their ex, it's best to take it as a warning sign and move on.